The church bells rang in the distance, their sound soft yet oddly hollow, like a reminder of something incomplete. Rows of white chairs stood neatly arranged under the late afternoon sun, each tied with satin ribbons swaying gently in the breeze. The scent of roses hung in the air, sweet and heavy, clinging to the space as if trying to mask an unspoken truth. Guests were gathered, their chatter light but tinged with confusion as they glanced repeatedly at the end of the aisle. The bride, Alara, stood just beyond the archway, her white veil trembling with every shallow breath she took. Her hands clutched the bouquet so tightly the stems threatened to snap, but it wasn't the weight of the flowers that made her arms feel heavy. It was the absence of him, the groom. An hour earlier, everything had seemed perfect. Alara had woken up to the sound of her mother's voice outside her dressing room, humming the same lullaby she used to sing when Alara was a child. The makeup artist had whispered, "You look radiant," and the photographer had clicked away, capturing the glow of a woman about to begin a new chapter. But now that chapter felt torn from the book entirely. 30 minutes before the ceremony, the best man had received a call. He had stepped outside, phone pressed tightly to his ear, his face turning pale like parchment. When he returned, he didn't meet Alara's eyes. "He'll be here," was all he said. But Alara knew the tremor in his voice well. She had heard it before in moments when truth was being hidden to protect her. She had lived a lifetime of people speaking half-truths to shield her heart. The priest shifted uncomfortably at the altar, adjusting his robes, glancing at the ornate clock on the church wall. Her father paced in the side hall, muttering words no one could quite catch. Guests whispered, some sympathetic, some curious, a few already guessing scandal. The air thickened with the weight of every passing second. Alara's mind raced back to the last time she saw him, Adrian, the man she had chosen above all others. It was 2 nights ago, at their rehearsal dinner. He had been quieter than usual, his smile smaller, his gaze lingering on her in a way that almost felt like goodbye. She had laughed it off, telling herself it was just wetting nerves, but deep down, a knot had formed in her stomach, and then something else surfaced in her memory, a detail she had dismissed until now. As he hugged her before leaving that night, she had felt something in his pocket, a small metallic shape, and when she had teasingly asked, "Is that my gift?" he had stiffened, mumbled something, and quickly stepped away. Now, with the sun beginning to dip, its golden glow fading to shadow, Alara knew something had gone wrong, not in the way people miss trains or lose their way, but in the way someone chooses not to arrive at all. Still, she waited. She told herself there had to be a reason. A car breakdown, a family emergency, anything that didn't involve betrayal. Because if it was betrayal, then it wasn't just her wedding day being ruined, it was every promise, every whispered dream, every vision of their future that was crumbling. Her mother came to her side, brushing a strand of hair from her cheek. "My darling, maybe we should," she began, but Alara stepped forward. "No, he'll come. He said he'd never leave me standing alone." But as the sky dimmed and the first star appeared in the fading light, Alara felt the truth creeping in like cold water through cracks in a boat. And in that moment, she realized that sometimes the most painful part isn't being left behind. It's not knowing why. The sun had almost slipped below the horizon when the first real sign appeared. A small black envelope slipped quietly into the hands of the best man by an usher who claimed he had found it tucked inside the groom's chair at the rehearsal dinner. The envelope was unmarked, no name, no handwriting, no seal. The best man hesitated, glancing at Alara, then at her father, before reluctantly walking over to her. "This was left for you," he said, his voice low. Alara's heart thudded in her chest as she took the envelope. Her fingers trembled as she slid a nail under the flap and pulled out a single folded note. The paper smelled faintly of cedar, Adrian's favorite cologne, and her eyes stung before she had even read the first word. Alara, if you're reading this, I'm sorry, more than I've ever been sorry for anything in my life. There's something you don't know, something I should have told you the day we met. I thought I could keep it from you. I thought I could protect you from it, but now I see there's no protecting you. Only leaving you, and that's the only way to keep you safe. The words blurred as her tears fell onto the page. Safe? She whispered. What could Adrian possibly mean? And why now? Why today of all days? Her father read the note over her shoulder, his jaw tightening. This isn't an apology, Alara. This is a warning. Her mother reached for her hand, but Alara pulled away, her chest tightening. No, there has to be more. This isn't him, not the man I know. She turned to the best man. Where is he? Do you know? The man's silence told her everything. The guests were growing restless. The chatter had shifted to open speculation, theories whispered loud enough to be heard. Cold feet, some said. An affair, others guessed. A few were already checking their watches, ready to leave. But Alara wasn't ready to let them go. Stay, she called out, her voice trembling but fierce. Please stay a little. Longer, he'll come, he has to. It was then that her phone buzzed, a single text from an unknown number. Don't look for me. They're watching. This is the only way. Her stomach dropped. Her mind spun. Who was they? And why would anyone be watching her groom on his wedding day? She thought back to the past few months. Late night calls he'd take outside, claiming they were work. A strange bruise on his arm he refused to explain. And that time she caught him staring out the window in the middle of the night, as if expecting someone to appear in the darkness. The sound of sirens in the distance pulled her from her thoughts. 2 police cars sped past the church, lights flashing. Alara's pulse quickened, an icy fear wrapping around her chest. Moments later, a man in a dark suit appeared at the edge of the garden. He wasn't dressed for a wedding, and his eyes scanned the crowd with precision, like he was looking for someone specific. When his gaze landed on Alara, he walked straight toward her. Miss Alara Hart? He asked. She nodded. I'm Detective Rowan. I need to speak with you privately about Adrian Cole. Her voice wavered. Where is he? The detective glanced around, then lowered his voice. That's complicated. He's alive for now, but he's in danger. And so are you. In that moment, Alara's world shifted. The wedding wasn't ruined because of cold feet. It was ruined because the man she loved was entangled in something darker than she could have imagined. And now, she wasn't sure if her wedding day was the end of something beautiful or the beginning of something far more dangerous. Alara stood frozen as Detective Rowan's words sank in. The guests had begun to drift away, but she couldn't move, her hand still clutching the black envelope like it was the last piece of Adrian she'd ever have. Rowan's eyes softened. If you want to see him again, you'll have to trust me. But once you step into this, there's no going back. Her heart pounded. Somewhere out there, Adrian was fighting to survive, and whatever had stolen her wedding day might soon steal him forever. Alara took a deep breath, wiped her tears, and whispered, "Take me to him." And just like that, the bride walked away from the altar, stepping into a world where love was no longer just a promise. It was a fight to the death.